Yeah, all set.
Alright, everybody, welcome to episode 7 of the Ashes Community Podcast. Today's guests are Goat and Sithis. How you doing, guys?
I'm
Doing good.
doing well. Doing well.
Alright, glad to hear. A quick reminder to everybody who's watching, this is a podcast that is not meant to promote Ashes of Creation itself. This is a podcast to promote the members of the Ashes community and how great they are. And this week's topic is gonna be PAX and everything that went down at PAX. So, to get let's get going like straight up because we're gonna have a lot to talk about. Let's get to the first point. Goat and Sithis were both at PAX. Goat worked at PAX at the PAX booth, and Sithis, from what I've been told, you went through the line a couple times. Is that true?
Uh, Somewhere in the 20s to 30s. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So let's get to the first topic. So because this is a topic I decided to put on every week to let people know how long you guys been involved with Ashes. So that's straight up the first topic. How long have you been involved with Ashes? Goat, how long have you been a member of the Ashes community, and how do you like it so far?
All right, I'll kick it off, I guess. I've been here since the website launched in December of 2016. So, since the start, basically, it's been a very good ride. The community as a whole is the most non-toxic community I've been a part of so far this early in a game. But I'm sure the trolls will come eventually, but it's a very good group of people to work with as a whole. Loving it.
Sithis, how about you? How long you been a member of the community?
Uh, Probably somewhere around when they started off the Kickstarter. I heard about the game through a friend. Good old word of mouth. And then I started getting on the forums more once some of my guild members started getting on there. I was like, oh, that sounds like.
You still there? You're breaking up a little bit.
Ah, yeah, could just be internet issues, but
No problem.
I I just have been I think just a bit after they launched on Kickstarter when I heard about it. I don't know.
Okay.
It was an idea I really liked, so I instantly was like, all right, I'm on board. You
Okay.
got me.
Nice. Yeah, it's been the same for me. I think I joined the Discord. I think around the same time the website went live, but I've been like lurking for a good couple months. But yeah, so because I know your names and I know both of you have been really active in the community. So let's get straight to the next topic. Because we just when like PAX just happened, a lot of things were like told during PAX. We got a lot of information about certain aspects of the game, and this podcast is pretty much going to try to cover all that. So the first topic is, the second topic is, what did you do at PAX? Goat, why don't you start us off, because you actually had a job there and you've been really like active at PAX. So why don't you tell me and the people who are watching what your job was at PAX?
Yeah, the first day I helped out a lot with the merchandise stuff. Then me and Truth Eternal and Telchar and a few of the other VIP guys noticed the feedback for the PvP booth wasn't too hot for that first day, because there was the PvE side, there was a GM walking them through. On the PvP side, the guys were kind of left on their own to play. So I just jumped in there, and Truth did for a few rounds to work that PvP booth and teach people the mechanics of the game on the PvP side and how to play each character. And after that, the feedback for especially the combo bar and everything got a lot better. And a lot of my job was teaching people that didn't know how to use a keyboard and mouse how to use a keyboard and mouse. That was the toughest part. So that was
Okay.
basically my job, is to man that PvP side.
Okay, so we're gonna come back to that later because one of the topics has to do with the PvP side. So, Sithis, you pretty much spend most of the time at PAX at the Ashes booth. Is that correct, or am I just imagining stuff?
Uh, I'd say at least 70% of my time there was running through the line of PvP, if not more than that.
Okay. So you didn't like Okay, 70% of the time. So, did you have to wait in line for a long time, or was the line rather short every time you went there?
All right. As for the line was massive, basically every day. Only nice thing was, due to the lower popularity of PvP, I got a lot of shortcuts to the line. Like, hey, we need a couple guys to play PvP, and I was like, sure, I'll gladly shortcut to go play PvP.
So more people were interested in the PvE than the PvP. Is that what you guys? Is that what you're saying? Is it?
I would say the PvE side, it took longer and it was more of a broad experience. The PvP side, we could run people through it a lot faster, so that part of it went through a lot quicker. And you needed the 4v4. So
Okay.
Sithis filled in a lot for us over there. If we needed one person to play, he just filled in the hole at that time. So if we only had 7, he filled that hole.
Where the matches on the PvP side, were the matches like timed or were they just open ended? Like how long
They're
did
10
one
minutes.
10 minutes? So
Yep, 10-minute rounds.
did you guys have matches that took like less than 5 minutes, or was it always like close to 10?
No, they last a full 10, and whoever gets the most points at the end of the 10 wins that round.
Okay. So this, as one of the guys who pretty much right now has, from the fan side of the community, has probably one of the the most experience in actually playing the game. What character did you play the most? Did you play tank the most, ranger? Which one did you play the most? Or which one did you enjoy the most?
Cleric. For
Cleric?
both. Yeah, I played. If I played 30 games or so, which is like how much I think I played, I honestly lost count. Then 25 of those 30 games were on Cleric.
Okay. So, did you get a chance to play against anybody from Intrepid?
No, I did not, but I got a chance to play with some of the devs,
Okay.
as well as one of the coders when they were doing their the live stream on the front page.
Okay. So that takes us to the third topic. And I think some of these topics are actually going to keep a little bit short because there's other ones that we're going to talk about a lot. So, because the third topic is something I put in today's podcast, because most of the community knows the people from Intrepid from two sources. One are the live streams where they answer questions we put on the forums, and some of our community members like Death Proxy actually had interviews with them live on live stream. And the other source is we get to ask them questions on Discord when Steven joins us on Discord, or when even Bacon joins us on Discord. So the next thing that I want to know, as probably one of the biggest fanboys Ashes currently has, is how is the Intrepid staff in person? Because all we know is how they act in front of the live stream and how they behave on Discord. But how is Steven? How is Peter? How is Bacon? How are they in person? Like, how are they are they really like they are on live stream, or do they behave differently? Goat, you're one of the guys who actually worked for them at the pack. So what's your opinion? Are they really that awesome as we think they are?
Yeah, it's beyond that. It was very surprising. I went there. I'm like you. I've been called a fangirl for months for this game. So it was a very surreal experience, just basically inserting myself as like an employee damn near. I went in there with high expectations, and they exceeded those high expectations I had with just how good of a team they are and how good of people they are too, and their experience level and how passionate they are and how much they truly know and can just rattle stuff off to you is amazing. It was I would say they are above and beyond what you see on the streams, which is hard to believe because they have a good teamwork presence on their streams, but it's better than that in person.
Sithis, as one of the guys who went through the lines, how did you experience the guys from Intrepid? Did you get a chance to talk to anybody? Did you get a chance to talk to Bacon, to Steven, to Jeff? Did you get a chance to talk to anybody?
I got a chance to talk to most of them. I think the two people I talked to the most was either Keith or Jeff, mostly because if I ran across something in game, I could just step off to the side for just a moment, like Jeff's right there, like, hey Jeff, look what I found. I broke this in your game. I could talk with him for a couple minutes and just laugh about it. In general, they're all like super laid back. They're all tons of fun to hang out with. It's really obvious they've got a passion for it. You can ask them one thing and they can just go on until either they realize they got to go do something or you guys hop back in the line. They were real great, honestly.
Okay. Were there any when you guys first met them in person, were there any surprises, like anything you did not expect? Like, I don't know, was Bacon's beard really that white? Did Steven like not wear sandals? Was there anything that surprised you in any aspect? Gold, why don't you like go first?
It's like I was saying, I was pleasantly surprised with they are all better than person. Every single person on that team I met, which I met everybody there quite a bit and talked with them all quite a bit. The coolest thing was Steven's parents were there. And I talked with his mother a lot and learned a lot about his childhood that I won't share here, I guess, because I probably shouldn't. But
oh, you can go for it.
It was a very good experience. Like his mom basically describes his childhood like my childhood was, with your mother yelling at you for being on your computer too much and being on the internet too much and wanting to pull the plug. But it worked out very well for Steven.
Okay.
So that's the gist of it. That he was just like all of us. He's a fan.
Nice. So anything that caught your eye? Any surprises for you? Anything major?
Anything that caught me by surprise. For one, just to make sure it's clarified, Bacon's beard is as majestic as it looks. That one's not false. No editing needed. Bacon's beard is Bacon's beard. As for surprise, nothing that was like really out there, but I think the big thing was it's really hard to expect the amount of energy they brought. If we're being honest, we all knew they were pulling all-nighters, but these guys just, they've been as if like they just woke up and they've been taking a nap for like a week. Like the energy level is crazy high, far more than what you'd expect from someone who's been pulling an all-nighter for like a month.
Okay.
Yeah, the way they answer questions is just amazing. Like I think they said it in the PAX panel. I think they said it about Steven that Steven is very much like a computer with his answers. He can rattle off a 15-minute answer that's identical all day long. It's really cool hearing him and Jeff and everybody talk to everybody when they're asking questions. They take the time out of their day to spend 5 to 20 minutes with people. That was real cool.
So from what you guys are telling us, is that they're really down to earth. They're like real gamers. They're not like I know some people on the Discord, and I have to be honest. At some points, I also had like some concerns, that they are too focused on marketing and stuff and selling the game. But from what you guys are telling us right now, it sounds like they are really down to earth and they're real gamers. Their main concern is how the game plays and how the game feels and everything. Is that
Yeah.
right? Is that right?
Yeah, for sure. Like the whole merchandise side of it was extremely secondary. It was just a little thing off to the side that basically Steven's parents were running.
Okay.
So they were completely focused on the gameplay and making the people that came through those lines happy and pleased with the game.
Okay. All right. Let's go to that one topic. This is gonna be the main topic of tonight. Because we do not have a lot of experience when it comes to Ashes gameplay. And the next topic is wait, where is it? There it is. What sort of feeling did you get from Ashes? And I need to explain this. And Sithis, you're gonna go first. And when I mean by what sort of feeling do you get from this is because a lot of people during the PAX live streams, and I watched the live stream and I read a lot of the comments people made, is a lot of people thought it's unfinished. It looks really bad. And on the other side, you had fanboys like me who went straight on defense and were like, yeah, it's pre-alpha and whatever. So what I want to know now, because both of you had a chance to play the game, and both of you had the chance to play with others, and you had the chance to talk to the guys from Intrepid about the game. So what I want to know now is, when you first went to PAX and you got a chance to play the game, PvE or PvP doesn't really matter. But you had the first chance you got by playing the game. What sort of feeling did you get? Did you get a good feeling? Did you get a feeling about there's something that still needs to be worked on? Or Sithas, what was the first feeling you got from playing the game?
Okay.
And
I mean,
feel
I guess it is good.
feel free to take your time explaining it because this is like something you can really elaborate on.
All right, cool. I'm a master of ranting anyhow.
Go for it.
All right. So, I mean, I guess it is always best, and when I made my forum post earlier, it really is important to nail in. It is pre-alpha. I mean, I will have to say it was noticeable. I mean, it's going to be. The general idea behind it, I loved it. I mean, that could, as you said, could be the fanboy aspect that, I'm biased in the sense that I was there for the game. I'm going to be excited for the game regardless. As for the feel, I liked it. I mean, this is an earlier question, so I'm not going to jump into it too much. Combat, the combo bar, a lot of it felt good. It'll be implemented differently later for certain things, hopefully, but they did elaborate saying how, again, with the combat bar, they'll be changing it at least contextually so it feels nicer and looks nicer. I played mostly PvP, actually. I played a Huntsman PvP because, offer me a shortcut, I'll take it. So from that regard, as far as PvP goes, I really enjoyed it. A big thing that was nice was that the goals and your objective in PvP was very clear. It was take the towers. Not that kills wouldn't get you points, and it is PvP. You're supposed to do that still. But the nicest thing was that there was a clear objective. Take the towers and hold them, and the reward went towards those who kept their eyes saying, I'm going to take these towers and hold on to them. Whereas anybody who got sidetracked for too long, could get messed up because someone went out of their way to just go start sneaking them. That part I really liked. I think in general, I mean, at least from what I've heard, most of the people I sat down and played with, because, I was there often, really were excited to play the game, even if they'd never heard of it. I heard a bunch of people like, hey, Astration, never heard of it. And they also would just, if they were told they could shortcut the line, they played PvP. So I would have 3 new people who would just show up and just do PvP for the first time, not even know what the game is. And most of them said that they really enjoyed it, which, I mean, I was excited for because, I'm excited for the game. I'm happy to hear other people are excited for it. That was probably the best part, was seeing, everybody else, or at least mostly everybody else being excited. Number one gripe, again, is the combat bar.
What about we're gonna talk about that combat bar in a bit, but Goat, because you worked the booth, you probably had the most in detail experience with the game. What sort of feeling did you get from when you first laid hands on it?
All right, when I first jumped in there was the day early when we were walking through with some of the devs to get the PvE side of it set up, and so I think it was Jeff, I don't remember, Jeff and 4 of the VIP guys were playing through, helping them get their PvE side of it set up. And so my first experience was on the cleric, and I've always sucked at playing healers, but I did okay on that one. And after that, after we got that PvE side of it, I maybe played it 2 more times on the PvE side of it, but then went over to the PvP side and just started really teaching people how to play that. And we'll talk about that combo bar later, I guess. That seems to be the hot topic. But it's very good for pre-alpha. The way I like to describe it for people is, if you're paying $20 on Steam for games, I would gladly pay that much for this. Just playing that arena over and over again, or the PvE side of it over and over again. It's kind of the way I'm looking at it. It's a lot better than a lot of the stuff I pay for on Steam, and it's a pre-alpha demo. So
Okay.
it's each class was very, very balanced for this anyway. The tank hard to kill, cleric hard to kill, mage and ranger squishier as they should be, and the people that have played MMOs in the past and played a healer class or played a mage class, they gravitate to those classes and they fit right in there, and they did very well right off the bat without me even have to teach them anything.
Okay.
So it was good.
Okay, let me ask you to this, because we know it's pre-alpha, and I think people like myself who worked in the industry and people who are a little bit older and have a certain grasp on let's call it reality, understand that pre-alpha games they're not finished. And there are also the people out there, as soon as they get their hands on the game, and doesn't matter if it's alpha, beta, they're gonna be like, yeah, this game is, it's crap because, it looks like this, and, they rant about something because it's not finished. So what I want to know now, because I am curious, is from what you guys played, it sounds to me like, and from what you guys just said, it sounds to me like the game plays really well, it's a lot of fun. But how much improvement do you think they can still do and actually execute? By that I mean, can they improve the animations, particle effects? How much improvement is there still till release? Do you think they can still improve on a lot of things, or is what we currently see 80% from what we're gonna get as soon as the game comes out? So who wants to answer that first?
I'll start it off, I guess. Like they've said it before, it's around 15% of what you're gonna see, and I think the Alpha Zero guys and gals are really gonna see more of the open worldness. It's kind of hard to gauge where they're at, but actual cosmetics of it was beautiful. The PvE side of it was a lot more pretty, a lot more colors going on than the PvP side. But like they said, it's about 15% of what it's gonna be, and you really can't gauge it yet until you get into that open world and test it out. But a lot of the stuff they use seemed to be just stock Unreal 4 engine effects, but it worked well for this demo.
Okay. So what do you think? You think it's because I'm reading chat right now, and for example, Lex says it's more like 5%. What do you think, Sith? You think it's like goes at 50% of what we're gonna get, or is it like, are they only gonna tweak a couple things? What do you think?
I think, as far as tweaking goes, most of it's probably just going to be expansion of what they already have. He was saying how, there's a lot of stock stuff to use, so you can expect that to be changed up. Like particles are likely to be refined. As far as scenery goes, scenery was beautiful. If anything, that's just going to be expanded upon. That in general was really great. How the characters look was good. I figured that's one of the things they'll touch up a little more. There were some wonky things going on. As again, I personally believe, it's alpha, it's going to happen. So that's not a big complaint for me. But I think, if I were to list three things that they'll improve or work on, or a focus would be, is either going to be, retouching their own personal particles and effects that they're going to throw in, or anything they personally felt they want to change a bit to line up with, how an ability worked. Probably how characters looked. I liked how they looked, especially because, you only see the backside anyways. But, and, well, as far as PvP goes, since I played that the most, I figured they'll probably work more on the combat system, as they did say it should only be 15 to 20% of it. As far as it goes, it was nice. I have to say that, though. I would, as well, as Goat said, I would pay for pre-alpha access.
Okay.
You've got games on Steam who get green-lighted in through that, and, I would. It was great.
Okay. Let me play the bad guy for a second, because somebody has to. And I actually gonna start off the next topic with being the bad guy. The combat bar, that thing that people apparently did not like. Even some of the well-known people within the community. I'm not gonna say any names, but we all know. Like, they made videos about it. And since they announced the combat bar, and since well, by combat bar I mean the quick time event you got on your weapon skill. There has been a lot of negative feedback. A lot of people saying they really don't like it because they don't want to concentrate on a quick time event during combat and not during PvP while they're fighting other players. And to some degree, I do understand that. I also understand that the UI is going to be customizable. So that means we can probably change the quick time bar to a location where we can where we can see it more easily. So from what I want to know now is from somebody who took care of people on the PvP side, and from somebody who was playing PvE. You said this. You played some PvE, right?
I played 0 PvE.
You played 0 PvE. Okay, so let me reframe that question. From a PvP perspective, both of you played PvP. Both of you had a chance to experience it. Do you think all the bad comments, all the ranting about the combat bar, is it spot on, or do people need to experience it for themselves before they make up their mind? Because I personally, I don't mind the combat bar, but I do understand why people are hating it on it. So this is as a fanboy who played mostly PvP, did you have problems with the combat bar?
All right. Since we're going with this sort of flow, I will go out and blunt and say the bar itself was crap. I like the mechanic, but I think the biggest thing most people don't like is that it feels like it's just a quick time event, and it's meant to look like one. You know, and the bar is right there in the middle of everything. You know, it makes it easier to see, but it's also super intrusive. You know, was the bar itself bad? Yeah, probably. The bar was pretty bad. Was the mechanic good? I liked the mechanic. You know, they said we'll be able to change it later on, or, you know, they even said that they'd probably allow you to dig into the files and implement your own, you know, however you want the bar to look. You know, if you want it to be some spinning orb that would turn a color when you need to swing your next attack, then, you know, so be it. And, you know, that is probably the biggest thing that would make it feel nicer, is that they had to, you know, implement the bar in so that people could clearly see it. I think it's how people are perceiving it, I guess, is the problem with it, and that it is a little intrusive. The idea it isn't a quick time event in the sense more that it's showing you the timing of when you should swing your next attack. Because, you know, they don't want you button mashing to hit a combo. They want you timing out your combo. So the bar was designed to say, hey, hit your next attack somewhere in this timer. But okay, again, the bar itself might have been the problem and not the mechanic.
Okay, Goat, let me ask you this. Because from what I know, and like I said, I've been busy the last couple of weeks, so I might be missing bits and pieces of information. But the quick time event, the combat bar, is only for your weapon skill, which is your number 1 slot. As somebody who took care of the PvP side during PAX, what do you think? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What's your take on it?
It's in the wrong spot. I think we're all in agreement on that. It's in your peripheral bit, but it is in the wrong spot. I didn't mind it because I played range classes. I usually favor a mage. So, and Sithis played the cleric the most, and that is a melee skill. So for the melee skill guys, the tank and the cleric, it was a harder time to hit that combo, but they were also the hardest to kill. So it kind of weighed itself out. But as a range person, I was able to kite people just fine and hit those combos. When it's a placeholder. So when the UI is adjustable and you can customize it, that would help out a lot to where you can move that combo bar more in your line of sight maybe. But I truly didn't mind the combo bar. I like the idea of not having an auto attack. It makes sense. But the tank, let's go for the tank, I guess. The tank's combo bar moved very fast, but the red bar for you to hit was a little larger. so that made sense in a way. But the tank was the hardest because I think the hitbox was somewhat screwed up on the tank, so it was hard to hit those combos on that tank. The cleric having out. The only thing I thought was somewhat weird is the cleric has that melee ability, which to build up your focus for your combo, for your ultimate. I would like the cleric to maybe change that to not have that combo bar be a melee attack. It should be more of a ranged nuker type thing like a mage has. But combo bar as a whole, I didn't mind it. I like the concept of it. It just needs to be tweaked, and it's just a placeholder. We all understood that while we were playing. So, and that's what I explained to people, that when people ask questions, like, yes, it's there right now, but when the game's launched, you might be able to make this a circle right next to your face for all we know right now. So
Okay, we know that like you said yourself, it's a placeholder, and we know that they are working on improvement of that particular system in the game. So because you just said a couple of things, you said it was harder for melee classes to hit the combos, and while you're playing a range class, a ranger, you had no problem doing the combos and kiting people at the same time. So do you think that they will maybe change up the system depending on what class you pick? For example, it's gonna be way easier for the combos to be hit by a tank and not as efficient for like a ranger? Do you think because what you just said I find really interesting, because you said it's easy for a ranger to hit the combos because you can just kite, but it's harder for melee class. So do you guys think it will be changed in that degree so it's more balanced, or do you guys think they're gonna stick with the difficulty on that system?
I would like them to. I don't know. We'll see, because it was the mage seemed to be the easiest to hit those combos because you could easily move around while you're doing it. When you're playing a melee type class that's right in your face, it's really hard to even want to pay attention to other things around you but the fight right in front of you. So it'd be interesting to see how that's going to be improved on in the future, to where the melee versus the range, how that combo bar will work for those classes. That might be just a UI problem, but we'll see.
This, what do you think?
Because I think that probably if they're going to change anything about the mechanic itself, I figure they're probably going to lighten up a little bit on the tank and the cleric. It was a little more difficult to land them, but I'm going to say that's because they're melee, and so you'd have to be in the face to get the combo. However, I did play a bit of mage, which I gotta say mage was a bunch of fun, and a little bit of ranger. Hitting combos on those guys was, like he said, that's easy. That was easy as heck. The thing is, with the amount of distance you could put yourself at, I could just be running backwards and kite you out and get a combo. That was like really simple. All you had to do was you could figure out the timing, or just try to get that peripheral vision down for the combat bar specifically, and it was great. That was simple enough. You could nearly always get your focus bar up and to be able to pull off your ultimate if you were the ranger or the mage, and especially the mage. It was the cleric and the tank. I think what made them difficult is, like he was saying, being up close, that bar gets a little more intrusive. You're right in someone's face, that bar covers a bit of your view. But the other thing is, you gotta keep in mind, you're also melee. So to be able to get your combo off, you gotta stick, right in their face to do it. Which I figure if they'll change it, they might lighten up on them a little bit. Maybe not so much, on Rogue later on, not that we played any of it, sadly. But I figure they wouldn't want to make that too easy, as they wouldn't want the rogue to have a good time getting combos on you. But for something like a tank, who may not be dealing the most damage off the combo itself, but is going for the combo so that he can line up an ultimate, same with a cleric, I figure they might make it a little more simple, as well as the movement of the bar and being able to put it off to the side or something will definitely also make it feel nicer for them.
Okay. I'm actually gonna try to actually get into the next topic because what you just said actually fits in pretty well with the next topic. The combat bar has started a conversation in the community about the way they try to pull off combat itself. And I notice a lot of people with some Wildstar background notice something that said, if you have quick time events in combat, people can write some third-person software, to actually help you out with that. And I wonder how they're gonna react to that. So my next question is actually, how was the response from the other fans? How did you guys experience the responses and experiences from the people you played with, people you actually took charge of? And do you think that the responses Intrepid got from the other fans, people who played the PvP and who were standing in line with you, was enough to point Intrepid in the direction of making certain adjustments and improvements to certain aspects of the game? What do you think? Do you think the responses were mostly positive but also productive, or do you think it was just a complete fanboy hype? Like, I would go on, I would probably not even leave the PvP area. I would just stay there for the entire day.
Yeah, I thought it was probably, I would say 95% positive, and most of the people that went to play at PAX seem to not have heard of Ashes of Creation before or followed it like 3 of us do. And like I said earlier, the ones that have played MMOs before and know their class, played a healer in the past, all those classes were super buttery for those guys. They stepped right in there and they loved it. But the ones that I had at least one super negative person each day, and usually they were a console player that just could not get the mechanics of the WASD and the right clicking of the camera angle.
Let me interrupt you there real quick, and let me be the bad guy and say the following: console players don't count. Continue.
I agree. Those were the tough ones to crack. It really was. The people that waited in the line, you saw it with the Lions. There was 3-hour waits for the PvE side to get in there, and they were waiting. And the people that just got tired of waiting for that line went through the PvP side because they wanted to play it. There was many return players that just wanted to keep playing and playing. So overall, it was a very positive response from the people that were fans and the people that weren't fans, and they gave very constructive feedback to the devs. And Jeff usually hanged around off to the side and talked to a lot of the guys that came off the PvP side, and they were listening. And you could tell they're listening from the last stream. They were mentioning the combo bar that built focus, and the community got their attention for sure on that combo bar situation. And this was their first trial out there doing it. I thought it was hugely successful for their first trial.
Okay, so this, as somebody who just played PvP, and you played with a lot of other people, like how did you experience it? Like, did you feel like people got right into it, knew what to do, and were the devs like watching you guys like from behind the screen? Did they like pay attention to what you guys were doing, how you guys were communicating?
I believe there was never less than 3 devs, and they'd all just, and I'm not including the 2 who would sit down at the PvE areas. I mean, just, on top of those 2 guys who were GMing for the PvE, you'd have, Jeff, even Steven occasionally would, walk through when he's not talking to someone else and just say, hey, what's going on? How do you like the game? What do you think about it? And he'll quickly just roll you like 3 questions real fast just to, see what you thought. As well as, when I wasn't in line, like Bacon was like glued to the stream, making sure he was reading chat and keeping up with all that. So as far as feedback from there, I definitely believe they got that, as well as they went out of their way to personally get feedback from each individual, if you didn't already go out of your way to talk to them, as, I tried to. I think definitely sorry about that. That most definitely that feedback from players like that it made it to them. If they weren't searching for it already, a lot of people did get the chance to talk to them and say, "Hey, I like this about this," or "I didn't like this about that." And they were there, and you could turn around, and I mean like literally turn around, and tap one of them on the shoulder and be like, "Hey, I really like this," or "Hey, you know, do you plan on changing this or adding this?" And you'll probably not get a crazy sneak peek spoiler answer. Usually, maybe a little bit, depending if you ask Steven or not, and if you complimented his sandals. But
Okay. Yeah. Oh, we're gonna get to the sandals in a couple minutes. Goat, you were about to say something.
Oh no, that's kind of why I jumped in after that first day, because I was very standoffish that first day Friday, just kind of seeing how things ran, and I saw the community's feedback was just getting super negative about that PvP side, and then I kind of watched people play it just because they could not get used to the key bindings and anything because they didn't have a dev walking them through the PvP side. So then basically we jumped in there and started walking through people how to use their keys
Okay.
and what does what. And then once people like any MMO, you're gonna struggle at first. Then once you change your key bindings or know your key bindings, then it comes second nature. And that's when people started returning over and over again and wanting to keep playing.
Okay, let me go. Let me ask you this because you weren't the only one working for Intrepid on that weekend. Who was it? You, Truth Eternal. Who else?
And Telkar were the main three that were really
Okay.
helping out there.
Because you three are well-known community members. I think everybody knows you. Everyone knows Tokwa. Everybody knows Truth Eternal. And did you guys have any conversations between you three, like about the game? Anything you want to share? Anything interesting?
Yeah, that's what kind of stemmed us jumping into the PvP side of it. And Telkar was doing a lot of the streaming side of it, helping out with that, even helping Bacon out quite a bit with some stream stuff. But me and Truth jumped in there on the PvP side. Truth had to cut out a little early to get back home, but that's kind of what stemmed us helping out the PvP side. We saw that we talked about how much we enjoyed it, and then we were kind of confused on the feedback out there, so we saw it and took hold of that, and I guess the rest is history now. We got pretty good feedback every day after that, besides that one console player a day.
Yeah, don't worry about the console players. They get around. They get around at some point. So from what you guys been telling us, me and the viewers, it sounds to me like PAX was not just positive in a marketing aspect, but also was mainly focused on getting feedback for the game, like creative and productive feedback for the devs. Would you guys say in like quick answers that Steven and the other guys from Intrepid like really took to heart what the fans said and what they experienced while other people have been playing the game? Because till now, like only a few people were actually had the chance to play the game. But now, external people had a chance to play the game and get feedback. So do you think they're gonna go back to the drawing board on a lot of things, or are they just gonna keep going the way they're going right now?
I think they're on the right path. It's the drawing board stuff that people would talk about. I think is mainly UI based for where they're at right now. It's great, and feedback wise, like they said in their last stream too, they really like putting some faces to the names of the community. Like Steven and Jeffrey had a lot of conversations with some known community members out there quite a bit. I see Diggs over there in the chat. He
Yeah.
sat down with Steven for half hour talking to him right off side of the PvP booth, just chatting. So they spent a lot of time listening and talking to the community members, and they really took it well. And at the very end of PAX, it was a very cool event. It was at the end of every day, the whole team sat down in a circle and talked about how the day went, any problems, what we're going to prove on tomorrow. And at the very end, Steven pulled out a bottle of champagne and poured it all for everybody because it was super successful on every front.
Nice. So this, as somebody who was on the other side of that coin, somebody who just stand in line and went through the line a couple times, what did you think? Because here's what I want to know is, because you were standing in line, Goat was waiting on the end, Bacon was walking by the line, but you were standing in line. Did you have a chance to talk to anybody in the line? Did you hear any conversations while you were standing in line? Anything you want to share?
For conversation with random people, I mean, I most of the time, and if you're in there for PvE, you're waiting for a while, to strike up a conversation with someone, and the first thing I ask is, hey, what are you here for? If they're there for Ashes, I'll ask them, what are you excited for? And I think a lot of people were really open to that, and I guess it adds on to with the whole thing that the big thing people didn't like with the PvP was the early phases was, not too many people were into it and talking about it, and it was kind of walking blind. So, trying to warm people up into things, just ask them what they liked, what they didn't like. I also, I got a chance to talk to a lot of the Enmity guild members. I got to talk to some other people who showed up there. Like just specifically for Ashes, and that also was extra fun. Just sit down, talk for an hour, and sometimes literally an hour, and just talk about stuff. You asked earlier, like if we felt that their direction would change or anything by feedback. I think they know where they're headed, and Steven is very headstrong and set on his passion. I think they may not change direction, but I think they're definitely looking to improve, and that was like the biggest thing I feel they were going for, at least from an outside point of view. It felt like that was their goal. That their goal was to get feedback, see what people thought at this early stage of the game, and what would be changed. Probably mostly contextual things and less so mechanics. Just trying to see how things felt for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds really positive. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts was the I don't remember the article writer's name, but the guy that really hammered Ashes a few months ago for PC Gamer. He came through and played with a group of press, and he was loving it on the PvE side. He walked through, and the guy that tore up the game more than anybody a few months ago.
Yeah.
He loved the experience. So that's the kind of good free publicity we got out there. It was good.
So just to clarify that, and somebody please clip that. Somebody from the press, a professional reporter, who apparently hated the game. I think somebody needs to send me that article because I never read it. But somebody who tore down the game, then went to PAX, played the PvE side, and the PvE side completely changed it. It changed his mind while the game is currently in pre-alpha. So that's what you're telling us, Code.
Yeah, it's the PC Gamer guy. He really liked that PvE experience, and he did well. And he had a good interview with Steven afterwards. I believe it's probably on the PC Gamer's Twitch somewhere. They were live talking to Steven at some point.
Oh, I'm definitely searching for that now.
Yeah, it was out there. They have I watched it while I was there, but so
I bet Steven was
the guy that
happy about
interviewed
that.
Steven. Yeah, he was. He said that at the end of the day. He just was really pleased that went well, especially because that guy really tore up the game in the beginning.
Okay.
And now, I don't see how you can really tear up a game without playing it. So I kind of like that once he played it, his perception changed.
Okay. So I guess we're gonna have one more topic, but to wrap it up, I want to say, because again, I'm not getting paid by Intrepid. I'm doing this for the community because, like we said, the Ashes community is awesome. Most positive community I've ever been a part of. And I think Goat Sitters and all the other guests who were on the podcast before can all agree on that. So to round it up, the PAX experience for Intrepid, the PAX experience for Ashes is overall positive. Would you two agree on that?
Yes, for sure.
100%. I loved it.
100%. Okay. So we got 10 more minutes. So for 5 minutes, we're going to talk about something that is a mystery for a lot of people. and then we're gonna take questions from the audience. But the last topic, and something that I noticed during the live streams, and something I want to know now because I didn't see all the Intrepid staff. The last question we have for today is: did everybody wear sandals? Because Steven is a huge sandal fan. We know the mystery of the missing sandal, and I saw a bunch of people wearing sandals, but I didn't see all the staff. So, what I want to know now is, Goat, did you wear sandals? Did everybody from Intrepid wear sandals? And Sithis, did you buy sandals at the games at the Merc store? Like, I want to know that stuff now.
No, I didn't wear sandals, but on day one, Steven got to try. He tried to push as much as the Intrepid team as he could to wear sandals, and a lot of them did. But on day two, their feet were hurting them so bad, a lot of them switched back to shoes because Steven's foot is formed to those sandals. It really is. So a lot of the Intrepid team, 2 or 3 of them wore it out the whole time, but a lot of them did start with it, but switched back to their shoes.
Okay. So Diggs just told me in chat sandals were not available in the merch store. It's too bad.
Sadly not.
Sithis, would you have bought some sandals if they were in the merch store?
When I bought some Ash's Creation sandals,
Yes.
that's a heck yeah. However, if the option was the barter off Steven sandals, which I will say I attempted, and I'm still talking to Jeff, we'll see if I can manage at least one. That's the attempt, and then I'll barter for the second. They were sadly not available, but if they were, heck yeah.
Okay. So that was the last topic, and just like, is there anything you guys want to share? Because this is the first time outside from members of the Intrepid staff that guys from the community can actually talk to, people that are in the community. Because you guys, is there anything you guys want to share from your experiences at PAX with the community? Like anything major, anything that really like caught your eye, anything you think was awesome, anything that got you worried, anything that was a surprise for you?
Yeah,
Besides the sandals?
Besides the whole experience was above and beyond my expectations, but being there a day early and seeing how much of a mess the entire PAX is for every single booth, like they're 10 hours before people are running through the doors and the whole place is torn apart still. It was kind of crazy seeing how much of a mess it is and how quickly the whole thing comes together to this nice polished show. You wouldn't imagine how it looked 8 hours before that. There was stuff everywhere, forklifts zooming by, people hanging things on the ceiling. I think I said this in the last stream I was on, but the only booth that really had their stuff together fully was a Nintendo booth, because a Nintendo booth is based over there in Seattle, so they were there already. But everybody else it was a lot of building right away, and seeing the fail rate on the computers, that they were pre-box computers, nothing to do with Ashes or Intrepid, but like it was about a 20% fail rate. We were down to like the last box before we plugged that one in and got all the PvE and PvP side running. Okay. Yeah, as a whole, just the entire experience was super surreal, basically being a part of that team for 5 days.
Sithis, what about you?
If I had to add just like I said, anything random, I'd first, want to say that PAX was phenomenal. It really was. Just overall experience was great. And to extend a bit on that more, I think a big thing to try to keep in mind, especially for anybody who's got Alpha 1 to even 0 access,
right here,
is walk in with open arms. It's a lot easier to judge something, after you get the walk through it, probably a couple times. And I think another thing was, whatever's available, do it all. I mean, I'm a little sad I missed out on PvE, albeit I have to watch over the shoulders of a couple of devs who are running it. But, when you get the chance, definitely do it all.
Okay.
Find things, break things, and just have fun with it.
Yeah, try not to judge the game super early. I saw a few YouTubers out there, I won't call it any names, that they went through the experience one time, and it's a couple pretty big YouTubers out there, and they really were kind of super negative about the game. We're just playing through it once. I really didn't like to see that. I'm like, I wish you would have came through 2 or 3 or 4 more times and really got used to the game. Like like any MMO, like I said earlier, you got to get used to the buttons, and you really can't judge it after one playthrough.
Okay.
You start to like it at the end once you get the hang of it.
Yeah, that's something that got me worried in the beginning because I talked about it on the community Discord a couple times. I worked in the industry. And I know how just some YouTubers, they say a lot of things just to get the views, and it got me worried a little bit that they went to PAX with the current state of the game. I was a little bit worried that it's too early and that the press and everything would be mostly negative. But from what you guys just told me, I'm not that worried about it anymore. I saw a couple of YouTubers, and I'm not gonna say any names either, but they are big YouTubers, and they actually talked a little bit bad about the game. But now I know that they don't really know what they're doing, in my personal opinion. But from what you guys told me and from the overall feedback I get from the community, like there's nothing to worry about. Most of the people that actually played the game realize it's in a really early stage. And who doesn't realize that, just, I don't know, go buy a console.
Yep.
Have fun with
Yep.
that.
We had between the gates opened at 10 o'clock for the public, but between 9 and 10, any of the press could come through, and all those press guys, I didn't see one press person walk away disappointed.
That's awesome to hear. Okay, so that was the last topic for today. So we got a couple more minutes. So anybody in chat, anybody from the community is currently watching, right now you got the chance to ask people who were at PAX, people that played the game. You can ask them anything you want. I gotta make them answer it. Like no matter, like even if they say no, they're gonna answer. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them now. I will make sure you guys get an answer. And I want to thank Goat and Sithis at this point for joining me for episode 7. Thanks for being here, guys.
No problem.
Not a problem.
And I want to remind everybody that this is a straight fan base community thing I do every 2 weeks for the community. Always different guests, always different topics. And let's see. We apparently Diwara had asked a question. Let's see. Oh god, I need to scroll up a lot. I'm scrolling. My question: what was the most memorable? Okay, so yeah, Diwara asked, what was the most memorable moment for you two? Like, what was the moment? Like the first time you saw Bacon, the first time you saw Steven Sandals. What was the moment for you guys? Go first.
All right, I'll start it off. Really, the whole entire weekend was a memorable moment from when we got to Seattle and got to the dev team's hotel and seeing Steven walk up and just sit by us and start chit-chatting with us for 20-30 minutes before he walked us over to PAX. The whole thing from the beginning to the end, the very end, like I talked about it, he pulled out a very expensive bottle of champagne because it was so successful and gave us all a glass and poured it. The whole experience was just amazing. I can't really pick one moment because every day it's like I came back to work in my real life job and it's like, God, I hate my job because I worked for them for 5 days and had so much fun over there.
Okay. So this, what about you? Most memorable moment?
If I had to do my best to avoid a cop-out answer of some sort and boil it down to one single moment, I think probably the highlight was on Sunday after the stream, after their panel stream, was when I say we, as in, because I was on the team with it, when they hit front page of Twitch. That was probably the most fun part. Was me and 2 of the other guys that I met there and hung out for a while. And I got to talk to them, made some friends there. But us 2 in a coder versus the 4 people, albeit, we lost, but I think that was the most fun moment. If I had to boil it down. Really close game, and it was tons of fun to just hang out and play with one of the coders, and that was super cool.
And that world name getting announced too, that was a very impromptu, not planned thing, and it turned out to be a very memorable moment for the stream and everything, how Jeff interrupted him to actually get the name of the world. That was
that's true.
That was a good moment.
I remember that. That was awesome. Okay, so I think we're done for today. I'm looking through chat. I don't think if everybody has any questions. Oh yeah, here Lex is asking a question. Who was your favorite dev and why? And you guys need to give an answer on that. I don't care. Like just ask. This is I guess.
Jeff.
Civis, you said Jeff. Why?
Yeah. Why? Think it's probably because I talked to him the most. If I broke something in the game, he was probably the number one person I talked to. So probably Jeff.
Gold, what about you?
Jeff's a good one. I'm not gonna pick Jeff, Steven, or Peter because those are the easy answers. I'll pick Matt Broom.
Why?
He's literally one of the best conversations I've ever had in my life. Like a lot of people didn't get to talk with him because he was running the PvE side. Like we got to talk to him back in the employee lounge basically, and he could just his experience level with making like H1Z1 or back in the Sony days. It just the stories this guy can tell you was just awesome. He is a wealth of knowledge, and he was a surprise to me coming there because I saw him on a stream once, and meeting that guy in person was just awesome. I wasn't expecting that at all. He was a very intelligent man.
Nice. I'm jealous. I wish I could have gone there. But that's it. That's what you get for living in Europe. I know it sucks. Damn it. Okay, so Diggs loves Matt too. And let's see. Do we have any more questions? I don't think so. I think we're done for today. That day went by way too fast. I actually had a lot of fun talking about packs. So yeah, again, everybody, thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. Goat, Sithis, thanks for being on the podcast. I hope you guys join me again anytime soon, if you want.
That'd be great. That was fun.
Okay, so yeah, everybody have a good start on next week. I know tomorrow's Monday. Try to survive Monday, and have a good night, everybody. All right, everybody, take care.